So, check this out, people. Today, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of men ain't going to like, right? There are two types of men. There are the men who do for a woman, and then there are men who a woman does for them. And I know that we're living in a time where women want to be equal to men. Unfortunately, men have gotten lost because women have gotten lost. And because women have gotten lost, men feel that, oh well, since a woman wants to be equal to a man, I shouldn't have to carry the weight of my family. I shouldn't have to carry all of the weight when it comes to paying the bills, when it comes to going out and paying for dinner. She should be able to carry half, right? And so we feel like because a woman lost her way, then that gives us the right to do the same. And we forget our place as men, as the head of household or the head of our family. Because I believe the woman is the head of the house, while the man is the head of the family. That's why he pays the bills. That's why he takes care of his wife, so his wife could take care of his children, so that the babysitter, the nanny, doesn't raise the children and they grow up the way the nanny or the babysitter wants their children to grow up. Right? And so you have men, right, who marry a woman because this woman makes the same amount of money as he does or more money than he does. And because the man has lost his way and he feels that a woman has the right to be equal to a man, she does have the right to be equal to a man mentally. A woman can do the same thing a man does mentally. Like, she can be a doctor, she can be a lawyer, she can be just as educated as any man. But the fact is that a woman and a man have a place and have a role to play in life and in their family. Everybody has a role to play, right? But you have these men who marry a woman not because he can carry her, but because he needs to be carried by her. And so a man will get with a woman who makes the same or equal or above, rather, the money that he makes, because he feels that together they can buy a home, right? Together they can afford more than if he himself was carrying the weight. And so he marries this woman, or he moves in with this woman, or he has her move in with him, and they start going into debt together because he's forgotten his place. And when the woman loses her job, for example, she's a real estate agent, right? And this person is a janitor, right? She loses her real estate job, and now this man who married this real estate agent can't carry his family because he's not a man. He should have considered these things before he married the woman who made equal or more than he did or than he does. Because it's not the job of a woman to pay the bills. It's not the job of a woman to be at work while her children are being raised by someone else. That is the man's job, to hold down his family. That doesn't mean that a woman shouldn't work or that a woman can't work. All I'm saying is that the man needs to understand this, that if the woman he's with loses her job, he knows that he can carry her and his children and his family. He can hold them down. He can pay for the car, the mortgage, and tell his wife, don't worry about it, babe. I got it. I got it, because that's what a man used to be. These little bitches that we have today who call themselves men, who believe that a woman is equal to them and that a woman should take half of the responsibilities that at one time used to belong to the man have forgotten who he is. And if a man who marries a woman and that woman loses her job and he cannot carry the family, then he's a bitch. And you may not like it, you may not agree with it, because we're living in a woke society who are soft, who are weak, and men have forgotten their place. And so they've given the seniority to the woman. They've given most of the responsibility to the woman. A man has forgotten what a man is. And so when he gets involved with a woman and he gets into a relationship, he expects the woman to carry half the weight. And if the woman cannot carry half the weight, he cannot carry all of it. He can't carry the weight. A real man can say to his wife, babe, don't worry about it. You lost your job, I got it. He should know that in advance before he marries her. He should know that in advance before he moves in with her. He should know it in advance because he's a man. And that's what men do. Well, at least that's what men used to do when I was growing up. Because when I was growing up, if a wife threw her husband out and she didn't work, but she was the head of the household because she took care of the kids, she cooks, she cleans, she maintains the home, he pays the bills. Even though they got into a fight and she threw him out, he knew his place. He knew that if he wanted to come back home, he continued to pay the bills, while begging her to let him inside the house for days at a time, and her saying, I'm not going to let you in until you get your shit together. He still paid the bills because he knew his place as a man. And a woman didn't have to work. Because if you want your children to grow up to be decent people, then you need to raise them, not the babysitter. Not while you're going to work for 12 hours and your wife is going to work for 10 hours as a real estate agent while you're sweeping floors. If you can't support your family, you shouldn't get married. If you can't support a woman, or your wife and your children, you shouldn't get married. It's just that simple. And I know a lot of you don't like what I'm saying. You don't have to like it, but the truth is the truth. This is why men have forgotten how to be men, because there's nobody here to tell them. But if you instruct a child in his ways, when he is older, he will not depart. And so if you teach a child, a boy, that when he grows up, he needs to be able to hold it down for his wife and children, so that if she loses her job, or if she gets hurt, or if she gets sick, or if she dies for whatever reason, he can maintain the family. And if he can't do that, he shouldn't marry. He should stay by himself. Because there are plenty of men who go on YouTube crying, telling you their sorry story, how their wife, who's a real estate agent, lost her job, and how hard it's going to be for them to carry the bills, to pay the mortgage, to pay for the car, to pay for the central cooling, while I have my wall unit cooling me off because I'm not a fool. I'm not in debt. I don't need to impress nobody by getting into a mortgage. I don't need to impress nobody by getting into financing, by paying for a cooling system that I have to pay for 10, 15 years, on top of my mortgage, on top of my car, on top of my cable, my internet, my Wi-Fi, my electricity, my water, my taxes, my children's school, my gas. You see, the problem with these men in America or anywhere in the world, they think that because they own a home, that they live better than I do, or that they live better than you do, who don't own a home. The fact is that I don't mortgage because I'm smart. I don't finance because I'm smart. This is why I left the U.S. debt-free, and this is why I was able to retire at a young age and travel, not just the country, because I've been to almost every state in the U.S. When I got bored, I simply got into my car and drove 12 hours south. Nowhere to go specifically, just because I can. Spend the night in a hotel, get back into my car, and then drive back home while everybody else is stressing, struggling, and working hard to support their family because they can't carry the weight of their wife and children and the mortgage and the car. And then when they watch my content, and because they see me at an Airbnb with an AC unit in the wall, they think that's my house. They think that that's where I live. and they put up stupid comments talking about, look at you with a AC unit in the wall. Who gives a fuck, bro? You're an idiot. You pay for central cooling. You're paying for not just the electricity that cooling system is giving you, but you're paying 10, 15 years for the installation. While I just paid $250 for an air conditioner that cools me just as cool as yours. The difference is that you're an idiot. You're gonna be paying on it. You're in debt. And now that your wife lost her job, you can't carry the weight because you're not a real man. You're a bitch. You're a bitch. And when you come on my channel and you think that you can diss me, you can't. You know why you can't? Because I'm debt free. I'm mentally relaxed and at ease. My girlfriend works. My girlfriend works. I don't. She doesn't have to work. You know what I say to her? You work and you keep your money. I pay the bills. That's what a man does. Take that money, keep it for yourself and the kids. Put it away so in the future we can buy another home and add it to the home we already have. That's already paid out. That I pay on every month for her. Because that's what a man does. And if I can't carry her and her children, I shouldn't be with her. I shouldn't be with a woman who I have to say to her, hey, let's put our money together and buy a house together, because I can't do it without you and you can't do it without me. A real man should be able to say to a woman, hey, let's buy a house together. I got it. If you want to work, keep your money. But number one, number two, three, four, and five are the children. Your job is to take care of the children, to raise the children so they can grow up the way we want them to grow up, not the way the babysitter wants them to grow up. And so you come onto my channel, you leave these stupid comments about my AC like I give a fuck. Like I give a fuck about the piece of shit car I drive or the piece of shit apartment I live in. I don't live in my house. I live on the road. I island hop. I hotel hop. Anybody that watches me in my videos, they can see how I live. So when you come onto my channel with your nonsense, living at home with your mother, or having your wife support you or carry half the weight because you can't do it for yourself, is because you're a bitch. You're a bitch. And this is not to every man out there. This is to those men who are bitches, who don't know their place. There are two types of men. There are men who understand that God put them on this planet to be strong, to be the alpha male, to be the leaders of the tribe, to be the protectors of their family, to encourage their wives to be better mothers so that they can be better husbands, better fathers to their children. And if anything should happen to the mother or to the children or to the mortgage or to the job, the wife can say, I got a man who's got me. I got a husband who can take care of it. She doesn't have to say, I have to take care of the kids. I have to take care of this bum because he can't do it for me. And unfortunately, now that we're living in the 21st century, in the year 2024, when only just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a man knew how to be a man and a woman knew how to be a woman, and she understood a man's worth. But a man doesn't even know his worth. That's why men are weak. This is why men don't have shit. Because they don't understand their worth. A real man that knows his place will never lack anything. Anything. Because a man who knows his place, he understands that he has to be the protector, the provider. He will go out there, work hard to provide. That will instill in him the motivation to be better, to be more, and to have more. Because his family is his motivation. And when a man is not motivated by his family, what the fuck motivation does he have? And why does he work to his family? A good wife and children is what motivates a man to be better, to be more, to have more, so that he can provide for them. And if the man doesn't understand that, when his wife loses her real estate job, and he's got to go to work and carry all of the weight of the bills. He's gonna break down on YouTube and cry like a pussy. And then he's gonna come on my channel and comment on my aircon, like I give a fuck about my aircon, or my car, or the 2 fans I run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When I get tired of being hot, I jump into a car or a taxi, because I don't need to drive here. I live in Asia. I get into a cab and I go to a hotel. And when I'm tired of that hotel, I go to another hotel. And when I'm tired of being in Cubao, I'll go to Mindoro. I'll get on a ferry to an island and I'll hang out there for 2 weeks. Why? Because I carried my wife. I carried my children. I was the head of the family while my wife was the head of the household. I was the head of her and she was the head of the children. This is why my children are all married with children of their own, responsible with good husbands, because they saw me as an example. But you got these little pussies, these men who teach their daughters that they have to work to help their husband out because they don't know how to teach their daughters how to choose a real man, because they don't know how to be real men. They expect a woman to carry half the weight. There's nothing wrong with a woman carrying half the weight, but the man needs to understand that if the woman can't carry the weight, he needs to pick it up by himself, whether it be for 5 years or 30 years. He needs to understand that he needs to be able to do it. I did it from the age of 19 up until my children grew up, because I got married at 19. My wife never worked when we were together. Never worked. I paid the rent. I paid the bills. I paid for the car. I paid for the electricity. I paid when we went out, and we went everywhere. Because that's what a man does. And she raised my daughters. This is why my daughters, one has her own business at a very young age, and 2 of them work. All of them are married with families of their own, because they understand a man's worth. And if they get with a man and they have to carry half the weight and that man can't carry her, she don't need him. She don't need him. I told my daughters that if you got with a man who works at McDonald's and that man is willing to do everything he can to take care of you, and you meet a doctor who makes 30 times as much as this guy who works at McDonald's, but he doesn't help you, he's not willing to dedicate his life to you, then the man who works at McDonald's is the man you need to be with. Because he's willing to work harder, he's willing to do more, and he's willing to carry you with the small amount of money he makes. And eventually, he's going to end up owning a McDonald's, because he's so dedicated to you that he wants to better himself and make himself a better man. Unlike the doctor who's not willing to do nothing for you. So he's not motivated to be better, to do more. So for those who watch me, and you don't like my background, you don't like my apartment, you don't like my car, you don't like my AC system, you're just a bunch of little pussies who don't understand how the system works. This is why you're broke. This is why you're in debt. This is why I get on a plane with a pocket full of money and travel the world while you're sitting at home watching Netflix. Because you can't do nothing more. You could barely afford Netflix because you got yourself in debt by buying a mortgage, because you don't own a home. You didn't buy a home. You bought a mortgage. You'll be 90 years old still paying for that house. You bought a mortgage. And so you bought a mortgage, you're financing your car that you can't afford, but because it looks good on you, then you must be the man, right? But you can't take your girl to Burger King or McDonald's. You can't afford it. When you're 90, you'll be paying on that house. And I'll still be traveling the world. And this isn't for everybody, this message. This message is for those men who are weak. Those who are strong can hear me and agree with me and understand and know exactly what it is I'm saying. And those who comment with their stupidity and their nonsense, bro, you guys are stupid. You guys are stupid. And for those who understand the message that I'm saying, you are the reason why your children are doing well or are going to do well. You're the reason why your wife is strong, why society is doing better or should be doing better, because you're raising the future. And for those who don't understand me, those are the men who are at the back of the pack. They're the ones at the back, the stragglers who don't know how to handle their business, who, while their girlfriend is pumping gas, they're sitting on the passenger side playing with their cell phone. They don't even have the sense to get out the car and say, babe, I got it. A woman shouldn't be pumping gas when she's with me, because they don't know no better. And so for those men or for those little boys who want to understand how to be successful in life, you have to play the role of a man. And you have to allow a woman to play the role of a woman. That doesn't make her less than you. That doesn't make her weaker than you. Everybody has their place. There has to be a balance. And if there's no balance, eventually something's going to give. And it's not going to work.